Good morning, friends, family, fans, well wishers, and first timers. Thank you for having me in your day. As you know, when I wish you a good morning, it is the sentiment of promise that the circumstances of the day will be great for you. Today, I'm thinking about branding. Not necessarily in terms of the rant or the product, but in terms of humans. You see, I have been realizing or wondering if there is such a thing as free will, choice, or destiny. These are questions that has plagued man since we became self-aware, but it was always passed on to another deity or the responsibility to something else. The Romans believed that they had the fate sisters that, these three bitches just sewing the weave, the cloth of destiny. Um, I think it was weaving thing with the thread and the people and the tuck, tuck, and the right there was right there's destiny. And then of course in regular history and whatnot, we now have in regular religion, I'm sorry, we now have God and faith coming into play. But with the discovery of genetic information and technology, I'm also wondering if it's pre-programmed. I'm also going as far as to wonder if we are machines, in the sense that we create computers, algorithms, and they are not self-aware yet. But at which point does something actually become self-aware? When you have a robotic vacuum cleaner, or the washing machine is carrying out a process, or the bread maker, or the timer on the appliance is digital, at which point does it become self-aware? When your car can tell you this is what is wrong with it, at what point does something actually become conscious? Now, the previous timer on the appliance would have been mechanical, purely. So that's physics, you wind up something, it would unwind, and that's about it. But now we are creating these brain boxes and all of that. And how do we know that the same way that we are creating brain boxes and machines, and we are using mechanics to do it, or inorganic materials to do it, how do we know that we are not machines created from some conscious entity made from inorganic components out of organic components, and then we became self-aware, this and we asked down here, and it's we who killed the dinosaurs and whatever, and that's why it is everything on this planet could kill me. And also, that's very out there, but you can't say it's completely impossible. Now, having gone there, it would mean that our genetic composition is our programming, and therefore we wouldn't necessarily be controlled by fate or destiny, but it would be different names assigned to our genes. So, and again, it's a very uncomfortable thought, because then it would mean that you could forecast your future and your past. Well, you can't forecast your past, but you would be able to see your entire life from your past to your present to your future just based on your genetic dispositions. And frighteningly, it's not that far-fetched. You look in the mirror and you are programmed to decide that something is beautiful because, or someone, because of how symmetrical the features are. And you look at your own features and you see, I would like this to be different or this to be better. And you can't make it happen because those are your genetics. So why do we think we have free will over anything else? And then in branding now, we try to control what people see of the product. I'm using the word branding from a marketing perspective because it is not humanized, it's not personified, but it's in the same as a reputation or an image, perhaps, as well. But image and reputation, they are personified. So let's try to sterilize it with branding. And then image also is the way how people perceive you based on your actions, your deeds, your general deportment, your charisma, the way the way you carry about yourself. But branding is what you tell people to perceive you as. It's what marketers use. Through the packaging, through advertisement, you have not yet experienced the product, but you have a perception or an expectation as to what it would be. And we do this and we assign particular expectations on each other based on our own preconceived notions. And the same way image and branding, they give birth to stereotypes or reputations. And all of this stems from our predisposition, our genetic makeup, the way that we are programmed, the way that we operate. Let me take us out of the equation again. Your washing machine or your refrigerator, because some of us may have a twin tub. Okay, no, let's go back to the washing machine. Even with the twin tubs, the dryer would stop when you open the washer. And for anyone that has no idea what a twin tub is, they are also called portable washers. So when that lid switch stops working, because it is, in my opinion, an inferior part that is placed into the device to malfunction, so that you would need to either stimulate the economy through the purchase of a new one or repair. Just like the ice maker in the refrigerator and the water dispenser. Convenient feature, send the price up, inferior products, they never last, it doesn't work, and then because you like it, you keep spending money to repair it because you're not going to throw away the entire refrigerator over it. But really and truly, you should just buy a separate ice maker and water dispenser. And of course, all these things go back to capitalism and, well, rivers flow to streams and, streams flow to rivers and rivers flow to oceans. And the spring all cometh from love and then gets corrupted. And people don't see that bigger picture, that, all of this waste and all of that. But with the washer, you have the lid switch. And when that goes, your washer may not work altogether, or features on the washer, like the spin cycle, would stop working. So you need to get it repaired. And sometimes the cost of the part is 50% and labor is 50% of a new one. So you might be more tempted to simply purchase a new one. Or if you're a good electrician or you can get one, they can actually bypass that lid switch altogether, and the washing machine would behave as though it is closed and operate. So it's not conscious, it's not really aware, as far as we know anyway, but we are getting what we need from it by tricking it into believing something else. Now to bring it back organic, we do that to our bodies. Birth control. With female birth control, the egg is not released because the body is seeing the chemicals that the female is already pregnant. That is why they get thicker, shapelier, and stuff when they go on those pills, and why the period is less because there isn't any egg and these kind of thing. So you're doing the exact same thing, getting the body to not release an egg so that you can enjoy sex without pregnancy by the same way how we would have bypassed the lid switch through mechanical means. You are bypassing the reproductive function and just keeping the pleasure function through organic means. And then we take that out of the body and we manipulate each other. We all have mirror neurons, and that is the best way that humans learn, by observation. So we observe certain characteristics, then we develop a reputation and a stereotype about that entity. Marketing with branding is telling you what to think about this by constantly showing you the product in a positive light and tricking your mirror neurons into that association and branding. And then you know how to behave and what to expect. But if you don't get what you expect, well, it will be a whole situation. And that is why it is negative publicity is so much more potent than positive, because positive is what you expect. Negative needs to be fixed because it does have an innate primal desire for it to be fixed, because your brain is telling you this is not what it's supposed to be, and subconsciously is challenging its entire existence and ability to keep you safe and all of that. But most people are not conscious about any of that. They just know the vex, they get tricked, and well, if it's an American, they want a supervisor. And again, people don't even think. If all of you want a supervisor, if I ever get a company that is dependent on Americans, I am not going to have employees. They'll all be called supervisors. It doesn't even matter your station. You would be a supervisor sales rep, a supervisor janitor, a supervisor manager, a supervisor CEO, or everybody's a supervisor. Anyway, when branding or stereotypes go wrong, there are issues. This rant usually is stimulated by current events, by news, and this is no exception. There's a grieving father, and of course that would resonate with me because men have just been, villainized for the last 4 to 6 weeks constantly in the media. So there's a grieving father that did not focus on the mother. Apparently, he had a 2-year-old. The child would have turned 3 this week, and he was a special needs child, and he was assigned to a special needs school that came highly recommended. by several persons, and his son is dead. And I can't imagine what that would feel like at all. I, I, I mean, as somebody that wants children so badly, of course you know that they can die, but you don't really. I mean, that child was two, and I just don't know how the father would deal with that. But the story goes that he squeezed himself through a fence, a perimeter wall around a pool, an above ground pool, climbed a ladder, and you know, that was it. That was it. Now, the dad is calling for an investigation, he's calling for CCTV footage, but the reality is that nothing is going to bring his son back. But what do you do? How do you reconcile that? How do you even pick where you're going to send your child to school? Or, these are normal things. Your child in daycare or with a relative, you know, we pick these things based on what we see, but it's not always correct. It's not always going to work out for us. Guess nothing is 100%. Now, as the media, it was still perpetuating, the male-female situation. They did interview some persons and ask them basically about the time they were wronged by a man. And it was very unsettling for me to read. It was very uncomfortable for me to read. Half of my friends are female. Half of the world is either you're male or female. Or yeah, it's still either male or female. Yeah, you could be male-ish or female-ish, but whatever you identify as, it's still gonna fall half of one or six of the other, half a dozen of one or six of the other. So it was really uncomfortable to read this. But one respondent to the survey stated that she was, she got the Donald Trump situation. She hold pussy, she hold box, just grab it. But she was in school clothes. Another schoolgirl going in the maxi, and a man that she knew that was like 3 times her age proposed and touching up the child and telling her let me run away. And then when it was reported, the police kind of insinuated that the girl was unshot. Later on, the accused apologized to the girl's dad and said that he was drunk. So my thought now is schoolgirl a brand? Is it somewhere that we look at a schoolgirl and expect them to behave a particular way? Sexual in particular. Schoolgirl is a porn category. There are sex outfits, but at the same time, so is a tradesman, a delivery man, a construction worker. So I don't think that people expect the plumber to actually lay pipe, but what I don't, so then why would you expect the underage schoolgirl to run away with you? But then the police officer was also insensitive, suggesting that this is a thing that schoolgirls do, which is why she didn't believe. And in some of the kidnapping cases that we had, it was what they were doing. They were running away to, have their adult interactions with whoever. So, where do we get this from? And how do we, reconcile it? A lot of these unsettling stories took place in areas that are dominated with Indian culture, East Indian culture, traditional Indian culture. Now, it's part of that cultural practice whereby they have some, let's say, all right, there are a lot of good things, the food, the colors, the jewelry, but there are also some, even Kama Sutra, very nice, very, very nice. But then you have that the daughter's virginity is to be a gift unto the father. That then you have things like the caste system. So I am wondering if it is a cultural uh, perpetuation, if it's just being passed on, the mindset, or is it a genetic disposition, the same way how East Indians are prone to overindulge mentally. That's their capacity. They have that disposition to overindulge. Case in point, alcohol in particular. And they also have a genetic predisposition to not be able to handle emotional stuff very well. So those things combined may also explain why it is they tend to always move in grabs. The whole family going on the beach, we had to rent a maxi, that kind of a situation as well, and why they tend to kill each other because they can't see themselves without each other. So we need to die. Coupled with religion, with the whole thought process of reincarnation, it's not like we're gonna die. We're just gonna reset. We're gonna come back again. It's almost like a video game. So the fact that a lot of that was happening in that part of the country, it again made me wonder, is it genetic? Is it branding? Is it stereotyping? Is it that is how it is they believe that they ought to behave? And it is glaring that there are many female victims at the hands of men. So, is it that is my branding or my stereotype? Am I supposed to be a violent or a threat or something like that? No, it's not that far-fetched because men are taught to be strong and physical and athletic. These are the ideals that they mold us into. Therefore, to solve a problem, we should be physical. So it is not that strange to think that we could slide on into a rape, but there's supposed to be empathy, and what is also taught to us is how to treat women from very young. So we are taught how to treat women, we are taught how to defend ourselves, and we are taught the myriad of things that we are not supposed to do. But women are taught how to be taken care of and how to take care of. They are taught to be princesses and that they are prize, and they are to be pretty and not to be doing this and that, not to be too physical because then you get a boyish figure, too much muscle development, you'll be too hard. Those kind of things. You get marks on your skin, and those things so that you would be more attractive to a man. So you limiting your physical capacity to be attractive to a man then. So it's interesting. But then we want equal rights and to level the playing field. But you're not coming out into the playing field equal. It's like a boxing match at this point, and it's not stacked fairly. It should be, it should be unity, but I mean, if it's a fighting match, then that will be even, where you can use any weapons of your choosing and you have all these different rounds. But if it's a boxing match, that's not fair. So from that brought up, see, is it that men then are to be aggressive and strong and women are to be passive and weak? So I researched not specifically that, but men being raped. And it was a fantastic Google search, to say the least. I wouldn't recommend you do it without a filter. But coming out of that, you get that men are raped. Men are raped by women, and men are raped by men. Both of which I knew personally. Let's settle. That's not what I meant. Both of which I was aware. Yeah, I'm not gonna edit that out. Both of which I was aware of prior. But the statistics show that it is far more prevalent than you would think. And the differences are that when a man is violated by either gender, and I dare even say assaulted, so not even necessarily raped, but assaulted, we tend to feel devalued and weak, kind of like a failure, because we were taught that we're supposed to be able to defend ourselves. And we would have been trying to defend ourselves throughout the ordeal and failed to do so. So you don't want to really go and tell people about it, so many men do not report it. On the flip side, women that were raped have reported over and over and over again that during the ordeal they did nothing because they were scared, which is baffling to me. How could you possibly do nothing? And in what position was the rape happening? Because as long as I am thinking that you need to physically overpower the person, so I think in missionary, the guy on top. So then you have the whole jugular exposed. You can't pull a nail file and stab him in the neck or something. Is just what I thinking. You flip the script. You lock him with your legs, one hand, and you bite off his ears or something. They don't really have much that he could do. It must have a separation and whatnot in pain. Or at the very least, the blood will leave from his dick and go just shoot out his ears, and the penetration aspect would at least be mitigated. But many of them do nothing. There was also statistically that lesbians and bisexual females get raped more by females. No, sorry, get raped more, and it's by females. So those women report more rape or assault of a sexual nature, and it's female on female crime. These are US statistics, of course, because Trinidad has a central statistical office, but everything in Trinidad is a South slang, so they're not gonna find shit on that. So it was interesting that even when faced with the need to defend yourself, you didn't do anything. And then some women go on to explain that they didn't report it because they were scared of the person retaliating and that sort of thing. So then it seems that men, or the male brand, would be a warrior, a defender. But then the female brand is what? To be a princess, a victim, a target, to be to be preyed upon, an object. What does that leave? And are these things the way that we see ourselves and want people to see us? Is this our genetic predisposition that this is the way it is? Is it branding through the media? Is it self-imposed stereotyping? Is it lineage? Whatever it is, it does need to be modified because women are not targets, victims, or prey, but they do have that mindset because they're not fighting, they're not, and even in protesting and all of that, what they're doing is asking, they're not doing. And then when they are not accepting the full responsibility. We need a mental shift in society on both genders, actually. And this topic is a bit much to get done in this one because there's just so much intricacies to examine that we can go on and on. So at this point, I would say, thank you for tuning in to another edition of Richard's Rant, and subscribe if you enjoy the vibe, and comment towards our mutual betterment. And in your goings, in your comings, in your doings, let it be your best. Whatever it is, in that moment, let it be your best. Signing out. This would have a part 2. It has to have a part 2. I think it stumbled upon something here, trip and fall into something, so it would have a part 2. Alright? Have a good one. Vibes.